Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Charlotte and this is Shonzo's Plants. So today's video is going to be all the reasons why I've decided to choose Lechuza Pon as my main substrate. So the main things that I collect are Hoyas, Anthurium and Philodendron. I have the occasional cactus, but they're all in soil, and the rest of them tend to be in pon. The only exception is this guy here and two Hoyas downstairs. They are in soil, and that's just because I'm too lazy to free the roots of most of the soil to get them sorted, because I just can't be bothered. So a few of them, and my big Monstera, my big Thai constellation, they're also in soil, just because they're so big I don't want to go through all those roots. I'd have to take them outside and hose them down. So why have I chosen Lechuza Pon? I've chosen it because it's such an easy substrate to use. Now, honestly, I would have never thought that you could have grown plants in rocks, essentially. There's just a load of different rocks, and you can make it up yourself if you don't want to buy it from Lechuza. But I find it quite easy because it's just already pre-made for you. The aeration that it allows is fantastic because you're not having any soil compacting down. You can sort out the nutrients yourself by doing it semi-hydro. So I use liquid gold leaf for mine, and I tend to use it when I'm watering majority of the time. Today I did a whole water and I didn't use it, but next time I'll try and use it. Just depends if I remember or not. But the substrate itself, when you start off with it, does have fertiliser in there, although I have heard that it's not necessarily enough fertiliser, so I do kind of suggest doing a really light fertiliser to start off with. So that was the first reason. The second reason is just that the plants tend to thrive in it. It's just so much easier to keep them. I don't get as much root rot anymore, unless I fill the reservoir too much and I let it sit there, or the roots grow down into the reservoir because it's just enjoyed the pond so much. They just tend to do really well. The roots grow really healthy. Also, when you have a mix that is chunkier, you tend to get stronger roots. That's what I've heard anyway, not necessarily proven, but because it's harder to grip on to something, so they tend to be a bit stronger. The only thing that I don't like about the pon is how it's kind of messy when you use it. It's not like soil where it goes everywhere, but the rocks kind of go places. Like when you pour in it, sometimes they go everywhere and then it's like hard under your feet. But that might just be because I am really messy when it comes to repotting, and they tend to go everywhere. So if you're a bit cleaner, then it's probably better for you. But that's one thing that I don't like about it. Another reason why I use Lechuza Pon is because of the self-watering ability. Now, you cannot just put a plant with soil into a reservoir of water because it will cause root rot. Whereas because it's so airy and it wicks up the moisture evenly, it allows you to do a self-watering system. Now you can do it yourself. I've got one example here. Let me get it for you. Okay, there's water going everywhere now. So this is an example of what I've made as a self-watering pot. What I've got here is a clear pot with loads of Lechuza Pon in it. This is a cutting that I'm currently rooting, and in this dish is just water. So this is now essentially a self-watering pot because it wicks it up itself, and to be honest with you, I see it rooting fabulously. So that is another reason why I like it, is because you can make your own self-watering systems. Granted, moving them around is not easy compared to having a self-watering pot, but it does work really well. That takes me on to my next reason why I love it so much, is you can also propagate in Lechuza Pon. So like I've just shown you there, that is a cutting of a Melanochrysum that I have, and I am currently rooting it in pon. I've done this with several Melanochrysum and it's worked beautifully. That means that you don't have to worry about the transfer stress. So if they've been rooted in the substrate that you use, they're not going to have the stress of moving from the rooting substrate to the medium that it's going to be living in, because it's been rooted in the medium it's going to live in. So it's just completely acclimated to the soil that it needs. So it's just fantastic. Some people have warned me that the fertiliser in there might burn baby roots, but I've not actually noticed any issue here. So it's really, really nice to be able to use it for a rooting medium and for a potting. It just means that you don't need to have all of the things like perlite soil, orchid bark. You don't need to have all of the different substrates. I just have the one thing and it works for everything. Don't get me wrong, I still use soil for my cacti just because I haven't transferred them over to pon. I still use soil for things that I might sell, just because pon is too expensive to sell things in. I still use perlite for rooting some things up as well. It just depends on the plant. And I still use leca sometimes as well to root things up. For me, it just means that I've got to use the leca that I have, so I'll use it. I might use leca instead of perlite in soil to just make it more airy, just that sort of thing. But that's one thing about Lechuza Pon, is that it's so versatile. You can use it for so much, and it's just great for like an all-rounder for me. Okay, so 1 year of using Lechuza Pon, and have I noticed any problems? There's one problem that I've had that I think might be due to the fact that it's not in a substrate like soil, which will always have nutrients. Now let me show you. This here is my juvenile Melanochrysum, and what you can see is that the edges are getting yellow. My theory, and I might be wrong, but my theory is that this is a nutrient deficiency problem, and it would be completely my fault because I didn't do the fertiliser in the water every single time I was doing it, and I knew that 6 months had been since it'd been in this pot and I still didn't start using fertiliser. The 6 months is because Lechuza say that the fertiliser in there lasts for about 6 months, and I failed to redo that, like use fertiliser on top. So that's one thing that I've noticed that's not great, but for me personally the benefits outweigh the negatives. I can't really think of too many negatives bar price, nutrients and the mess. If I can think of anything else, I will mention them in another video. I'll make a video on things that I don't like about them, but honestly I really enjoy it. It does really well. Things haven't really rotted with me unless I've done it wrong, like I've mentioned in a previous video that I will link down below. But yeah, that is the main things that I absolutely love about Lechuza Pon. Alocasias don't transfer very well in Lechuza Pon. I will just say that right now. They tend to droop and then they grow back up and then they're fine. But aroids, they've taken it like a duck to water. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you use Lechuza Pon or any questions that you have about it. I will try my best to answer it. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you. Bye.